Yes, welcome to the No State Project, live from the fortified compound here in Mesa, Arizona. I'm glad to be here. I'm Marc Stevens, the channel, of course, No State Project. Thanks for tuning in. And maybe this could be the first show of the new live streams without a tech issue. Well, there's going to be one. Not really a tech issue. It's just a matter of not enough monitors. But if you'd like to help support the channel and maybe rectify that, you can do so in the description. And I know somebody, Star, was asking about what's the deal with the battery and electricity. I don't know what's going on with the lighting here, and I tried to fix it, but I didn't notice until real late, so I don't know why everything is looking so dark right now. But because of using OBS to do the stream so that you can see here, Trump formally arrested. Yes, I'll get to that. That scumbag has finally, for the first time in his entire life, had any accountability whatsoever. Nothing may come of it, but first ex-president to be indicted. Nice. I'll get to that. So just briefly to explain, I don't have the best lighting for this, and so that I can have the graphics and so I can show this video, I use OBS. Unfortunately, with OBS, when you use less than optimum lighting, webcams look like, instead of being made in 2023, they look like they were made in 1995. They're absolutely just god-awful, horrific. If you go straight, like I used to do, if you go straight and do the stream from the webcam, it looks great. I can't do that. It looks 100 times worse than it does now. So I'm using my Canon, and I don't have a plug for the Canon, so I have to use these batteries. And so the stream is limited by the life of that there battery. So that's what that means, Stahl. And so if I try to swap out the battery, I'm going to lose the stream. So I hope that explains it. But wow, this piece of garbage, this pile of murder from Queens. And I actually spent a lot of time in Queens. I grew up on Long Island, and yes, Queens is on Long Island. It is politically part of Manhattan. But he has finally, I mean, talk about elite of the elite, how there's a two-tier system, like I mentioned on the show last week. The DuPont heir, that piece of garbage, raped a child, and the judge, he wouldn't do affluenza. You know, these rich people, they won't do well in prison. So you gotta, house arrest, or, you know, slap on the wrist with you if you do anything at all. The guy was convicted, which is amazing in and of itself, that somebody with so much money actually goes to trial and gets convicted, or just the fact that they actually get charged. So here, this is just amazing that a former president, although there are some lunatics out there, well, not just some, there's a lot of lunatics out there that believe he's still the actual president. You know, these QAnon lunatics, just absolutely crazy, crazy beliefs. So didn't look like, with all the things that he's done, all the things he's been first for, the first president impeached not just once, but twice. I think he's the first president to be directly responsible for hundreds of thousands of American deaths. Now, we know that presidents are responsible for hundreds of thousands, not millions, like George W. Bush, for people outside the United States and their deaths, especially, you know, in Iraq and Afghanistan. I get that. But we're talking about where Republicans should care, because they don't give a, you know, most Republicans, they don't care about brown people, but they do care about, you know, Americans, at least registered Republicans, you know, Americans that are registered Republicans. So he's the first United States president to be responsible for hundreds of thousands of American lives. So it's winning bigly there. So all the other things that he's gotten away with, the emoluments clause, he defaced an official poster for the weather. He actually defaced a weather map. That was a crime under federal law. Nothing. I think he's the first president to have, as his head of the FDA, no, the EPA, Scott Pruitt, who had like 15 investigations against him before he finally resigned. I think that there is a record that Trump has got. His administration has got the most indictments and convictions. Just a tsunami of crime. And I've mentioned before, why do you focus? I don't focus that much on just one politician, but this particular one from the start was so brazen in his criminality, so in your face, because he was used to this, because he was a rich douchebag and he was used to not having been held accountable for his crimes. So it is just staggering to me that he's finally been held accountable for some of his crimes. So I'm gonna put the sound on here, and I want to play this. We don't get a full perp walk, but we do get. So this is from the Daily Record. It's not that long. Hopefully the audio is going to come through. The audio isn't even that necessary. What's necessary is just to see this scumbag actually be the first there. He's going to get out over here. He'll be the first president, ex-president, to be arrested. So there's the orange scumbag now. Yeah, go F yourself. Va fangul, you piece of garbage. There he goes. Yeah. It's, I got to see that again. First American president to face criminal charges. Shouldn't be the first. Oh, wait, I went. There we go. You piece of garbage. The charges involve payments made during the 2016 campaign to hush claims of an extramarital sexual encounter. All right, let's watch this one more time. You, Bafangul. I love to see this piece of Mirta spend justice would be him spending years and then dying in prison. That would be the beginning of justice. There is really no justice when the blood of hundreds of thousands of Americans are on his hands. There's no coming back from that. There really is no way to get justice for all the people, all the people who died prematurely because this piece of garbage downplayed a deadly pandemic. And so let me ask before I go any further, because we got the actual indictment here. We got the actual indictment. I want to go through that. But let me ask. I can't read the comments just yet. I think that would send a loop or something. It would look weird. Is this fake news? Is this actually fake news? Is this fake? I mean, he was on Trout Central tweeting about being arrested. Are those all fake? Is the fake news brigade going to come out and say this is all fake? This is all AI? This is deep fake and it's not real? He hasn't actually been indicted? Let me know in the comments if this is just part of the fake news. And you could get this from, I don't know, 24 sources or more showing the same thing of him walking out there. There's actually footage of him, where the door is open and it's not held for him. So that is pretty cool. I should look for that. Well, that's not too important. Not nearly as important. So there is a question, of course, and that's reasonable about the actual charges. And And so people are pointing out that it's not a big deal because, well, Bill Clinton paid off, was it Paula Jones? I'm like, see, the difference is, and I'm not a fan of Bill Clinton, this guy falsified business records, which is a standard part of the Trump business. He falsified business records. And I want to address one of the stupid lies, because all the man can do, and I use man in, I guess, a biological sense, because he is nothing but a steaming pile of orange murder. He has it's almost impossible for him to tell the truth. But he lied and said that no one's been charged with this before. His own lawyer, as I mentioned last week, Michael Cohen, his own lawyer has already done time for this. He's already, so he is individual one. So now this is the actual indictment. You can see that's nice. That's nice. Hopefully the guys in Georgia are not too far behind. They're going to indict this piece of garbage too. And then he'll also be indicted at the federal level. So we've got here the actual indictment, which is 16 pages long. I think there's 34 charges. And then there's the statement of facts. The people of the state of New York against Donald J. Trump. It warms my heart. And well, you just hate Trump. You got that damn right. Just like I hate Biden and I hate Pelosi and I hate Obama and I really hate George Bush. I don't like politicians for the most part. Not a fan. Not a fan. But the hate and the derision and the disdain that I have for the legal profession, a lot of the legal profession, I believe is well deserved. Well, why do you dislike Trump so much? Well, there's hundreds of thousands of Americans that are dead because he downplayed as president a deadly pandemic. Is that good enough reason to dislike the guy? So let's go through the indictment. The grand jury of the county of New York, by this indictment, or in Trump's words, the indictment, or he was indicated, accuses the defendant of the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree in violation of penal law. It is a felony. The defendant in the county of New York and elsewhere on or about February 14, 2017, would intend to defraud and intend to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and caused a false entry in the business records of an enterprise, to wit, an invoice from Michael Cohen, his lawyer, dated February 14, 2017, marked as a record of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization, which has already been, Alan Weisselberg, maybe I'm butchering that, his CFO, it's already been, they're charged criminally. The second count further accuses the defendant of the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree. So each time it's just a lot of falsifying business records. Nice. Falsifying business records. And remember, Cohen admitted before Congress, this is what got a lot of these investigations started, was that he testified before Congress. Trump devalued his properties. And I know this is common. They should all go to prison. All these rich scumbags should go to prison. Anybody who does this should go to prison. Devaluing the property for tax purposes and inflating it for bank loans. Put them all in prison. These rich scumbags. Falsifying business records. Ninth count. I'm not going to go through all that. What you got here is the statement of facts. I'm going to cover a little more ground on that. The defendant Donald J. I'm just going to say Trump, repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal criminal conduct that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. From August 2015 to December 2017, the defendant orchestrated a scheme with others to influence the 2016 presidential election by identifying and purchasing negative information from a guy named Pecker. That's funny. Purchasing negative information about him to suppress its publication and benefit the defendant's electoral prospects. In order to execute the unlawful scheme, the participants violated election laws and made and caused false entries in the business records of various entities in New York. The participants also took steps that mischaracterized for tax purposes the true nature of the payments made in furtherance of the scheme. It's like Michael Cohen said the other day. Someone said, why should anybody believe you? You work for this piece of garbage. You were his lawyer. You have gone to prison. You lied to Congress for him. Why should anybody believe you? And he says, I got to respect the guy for this. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to. I'm kind of, just go to the records. Go to the records. Because to bring an indictment against the elite of the elite, though that elite may be an orange pile of murder, right? You have to have an ironclad case. And boy, I really hope that this makes it so that he took the heat for the first one. Let the floodgates open. One component of this scheme was that at the defendant's request, a lawyer who then worked for the Trump Organization, a special counsel to defendant, lawyer A, covertly, this is Michael Cohen, covertly paid $130,000 to an adult film actress shortly before the election to prevent her from publicizing a sexual encounter with the defendant. The defendant, who is on record of saying he regularly moves on married women like a bitch. That's a quote. And that he regularly sexually assaulted women by grabbing them by the crotch. Because, hey, when you're famous and you're rich and powerful, you could do whatever you want. Lawyer A, Michael Cohen, made the $130,000 payment to a shell corporation he set up and funded at a bank in Manhattan. This payment was illegal, and lawyer A has since pleaded. Why don't they just say Michael Cohen? Since pleaded guilty to making an illegal campaign contribution and... Oh. What the hell? What did I do? Oh, I see what happened here. And served time in prison. Further, false entries were made in New York business records to effectuate this payment, separate and apart from the New York business records used to conceal the payment. Oh, really? After the election, the defendant reimbursed lawyer A for the illegal payment through a series of monthly checks, first from the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, a trust created under the laws of New York, which held the Trump Organization entity assets after the defendant was elected president, and then from the defendant's bank account. Each check was processed by the Trump Organization, and each check was disguised as a payment for legal services. Rent. They have the checks. They have these checks. They have the records. This is a slam dunk. Each check was processed by the Trump Organization, and each check was disguised as a payment for legal services rendered in a given month of 2017 pursuant to a retainer agreement. The payment records kept and maintained by the Trump Organization were false New York business records. In truth, there was no retainer agreement, and Michael Cohen was not being paid for legal services rendered in 2017. The defendant caused his entity's business records to be falsified to disguise his and others' criminal conduct. Yep. The catch and kill scheme to suppress negative information. Wow. There is an awful lot here. And I am not going to go through the whole thing. And I hope you guys can read that. I don't know for sure that you can actually read that. But I think it's pretty damning. And this, as wonderful news as this is, this, I think, pales in comparison to all the other crimes that he has done. calling the Secretary of State in Georgia to find votes. Holy crap. Hopefully that indictment's coming in just, really soon. And then what he did at the federal level for January 6th. Lock him up. Put this scumbag in prison. Let him die in prison. And what they should do is, it's never going to happen, but George Bush should be sitting in a prison cell right next to him. So I am running low on time. I don't have time for a full a full stream today, as long as much as I normally do. So, all right, we've got that there. Oh, I've got the wrong one. I actually had, here we go. I'm going to drop that there. Although the anarchy symbol is pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... There we go. Hey, look at that Photoshop there. Yeah, job there. First again. Yeah, congratulations, you orange piece of garbage, you. First ex-president to be indicted for felonies, and hopefully he'll be the first president not only indicted for in New York, but the first president to be indicted at the federal level and in Georgia. So the false election schemes and whatnot. Yeah, way to go. Okay, wait, let me do that. We'll transition. Yeah, you see. You guys impressed with my technical skills here behind the stream? So let me see what we've got here. Dershowitz says there is no case. Michael Frenzen. Now, Alan Dershowitz, you really going to take seriously what Alan Dershowitz says, especially during the second impeachment trial? Oh my gosh. Dershowitz is a hack. He was also involved with Epstein, just like Trump. So, yeah. Someone says that's good because nobody's... Okay, Mark needs a 12-step group to get rid of his resentments. Mustafa said that. Yeah, you're probably right. You probably you got a point there. I do resent bureaucrats. I do resent rich douchebags who happen to also be bureaucrats. I've got a real problem with bullies. I resent the hell out of bullies, and I really resent the hell out of people that hurt others. Okay, beyond just your regular bullying, when you've got someone like this orange piece of garbage that, hundreds of thousands of Americans dead. So 12-step group to get rid of my resentments. No, I'm gonna hold on to them. As long as there are scumbags like this and I am able to do a stream, I'll point it out. I have a question. Who cares about Donald Trump? I care in that I have an interest in justice. I have an interest in those who have hurt others actually are held accountable for the damage that they have caused. That's my interest there. Otherwise, I don't give a damn about someone like that. He's not just another rich douchebag, which he was prior to being elected. Once he got elected, he was really able to do some damage. So I care about justice. I care about people hurting others being held accountable. And I know that most politicians and most rich douchebags will not be held accountable. But that's why it's so good to finally see this one who is guilty of so much harm having some accountability. Julian Assange is still lingering in jail, getting his food and air poisoned. Well, that's a whole other thing. If he ever laid a hand on anyone, it was his order followers. Come on, his order followers? He personally, as president, downplayed a deadly pandemic. There were people under him that were trying to do the right thing, and they got fired. just, he was making suggestions of using bleach and disinfectant in the lungs. He's the first president to suggest using a nuclear bomb on a hurricane. A nuclear bomb on a hurricane. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are responsible for their own lives. Yeah, you know, that's a whole stream that I could do talking just about that, Michael. They are responsible for their own lives, but they're making decisions based on what authorities in and out of government are saying. I can't make my own medical decisions. I'm not a doctor. I have to go to someone who knows what they're talking about. I'm going to diagnose everything. Yeah, that's just, yeah, I'm ultimately responsible, but you have to understand that, especially with medical things, we as regular lay people are in no condition. How in the world would you and I be able to, we couldn't even talk intelligently about epidemiology and why viruses mutate. You have to go and you have to trust the judgment of people who are credentialed and who have the schooling and have the knowledge and have the experience. So that's just Mark. Have you managed to see ML Gardner? No, I a few days. No, I have not. Innocent bystander. I don't have the time to do that. It might work on the hurricane, but the effects would kill many. That is just so grotesquely stupid for anyone to suggest using a nuclear bomb on a hurricane. Wow. Last time I got sick, I took the ivermectin, gave it to the horses for years. The inventor ivermectin has a use for parasites, and you can still use it. I think there's a human use for ivermectin for parasites, but not a virus, not a one-celled organism like coronavirus. So by your logic, Biden and friends would be. I'll go on record again, Mike. Biden, just if we're talking about drone strikes in the Middle East, as long as the drone strikes continue, whoever is in charge of the military is a war criminal and should be imprisoned the rest of their lives. I don't know how to make this any simpler. Anyone as president of the United States, and I think it started with George Bush, anyone responsible for the drone strikes in the Middle East that continue to this day, I believe, are guilty of crimes against humanity and war crimes and should spend the rest of their lives in prison. So basically, all the top people in the Bush administration, Wolfowitz, Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, prison the rest of their lives. Same thing with Obama. I can't get any more succinct than that. I'm not singling out this orange piece of garbage. He is just as he's worse. So, all right, I am going to have to pull the plug on this. I appreciate everyone tuning in. If you would like more frequent broadcast or more brief, if I could talk, if you would like to support the channel, you could do so in the description. You can get the shirts and the ebooks still available. Of course, I like the ebooks. No middleman there. So you can go into the description, use my PayPal. You can get a shirt. You can get the ebooks. And if you have some other topics you'd like me to talk about, then let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to get that. But I had to do this because that's like the biggest news. Ever. And I'll go on. I'll say this: if you or I had actually on a major platform with a major audience posted or reposted the judge who is doing our case, and conducting the trial, and we published a picture of their family on a major platform, we would be in prison so fast. But again, rich, entitled douchebags don't. They're different rules for them. They're different rules for them. For the record, again, Dershowitz did not go to Epstein Island. He was involved with Epstein. He may not have gone to the island, but he was involved, and he was caught in that, and he tried to backtrack, so there's no getting out of that. He was definitely involved, and it was really... but I can't get into that. Who give an F about some platform? You're not listening. All right. I have to run. I'm sorry for cutting this short. Again, if you would like to help support the stream, you could do so in the description, and I do appreciate any and all support. And I hope that hopefully soon we can get to a third live stream, so I can do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But for now, it'll be just Monday, Wednesday at 7 Arizona time. So appreciate everyone tuning in. I will be back on Monday. So until then, salud.